really enjoyed working with you and look forward to some other projects. Yes, sir.
That Gurney building that was up there,
Yes, sir.
who's that, the city or the county?
That is the city. The Gloria plant up there by the junior high or the McRae Park softball complex, the recycle center. That was, in a nutshell, the county acquired that from Gurney Manufacturing. And then when the county and the city had an ambulance agreement, we accepted that building in lieu of some ambulance payments. And then the building is all the way down. It's all the way down now. And we're waiting to have a final decision on exactly what we're going to do in there. I want to take that area, the footprint of it, and go ahead and crown it like a football or soccer field, and then create a area there for practice, or even maybe sometimes the YMCA when youth football is playing. They're over here at Stanley Jensen. Well, they have to start at 7:30 in the morning from what I'm told, and they play one game, then another game, and they're pretty much there. When those events are going on, when you throw in youth lines, they're there from 7:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night. So if we have two fields up there and we have Stanley Jensen going, that will actually help get the families back out together and be able to eat and play more on their own schedule instead of the rigid scheduling of football. But now there are some who want to take some of that area and turn it into baseball or softball practice fields. So that is still a little bit in the air, and hopefully my one vote might be the deciding factor on that, and go from there. But we are looking very closely at all of our practice facilities, and because sports are so much more than just running, hitting, throwing, and that kind of stuff. Recently, Kelly Cook and Russ Sanders and myself went to the Board of Education because we're in need of some turf over here again. It's about a $400,000 or $500,000 project on that one. But you would be really astonished, I believe, if you knew exactly how many football, soccer, lacrosse events, what the foot traffic is through Stanley Jensen. Real grass could not be held up to any kind of standards if that foot traffic was on real grass. So we went to the Board of Education and tried to sell them on a few projects, because where I am proud of Stanley Jensen, and we're talking earlier during the first snow event that we had in Prattville this year, somebody without insurance hit the columns that were out front. And so we've taken all of that down, and we're going to get ready to put an archway there and make it something that we all would be proud of. But as we're presenting this potential partnership to the Board of Education, one of the comments was there, some of the fabric that actually helps bring a community together is our schools and social events and sporting events. And that's pretty much what goes on at Stanley Jensen. And we need to spend quite a bit of money there, but it's a little bit at a time, and we're trying to get there now. So once we get through with our McRae Park project, hopefully we'll be able to put a little more emphasis on Stanley Jensen. And then not only there, but around the pond here and the creek bed, as I started talking about, we're looking at in 2019's budget of hopefully to have some kind of sheet metal piling put in to help control some of the erosion and have a curb appeal factor on that as well. So that's just in a nutshell, a lot of different little things that are going on, everything from erosion control to new businesses coming in. But any other questions? Yes, sir.
The road you mentioned at the trampoline park, is there any direction to put any lights or stripe that road or something to make it a little more visible at night? It's pretty dark at night on that stretch. Maybe
not to stripe it, but we are looking at lights. Not only there in that whole area.
Striped, half of it isn't striped.
Okay. I'll ride back out there with Robbie Anderson, our city engineer. But exit 179, or some of us here might remember as Holiday Inn exit, we're also looking to try to get some lights there. Now, the mayor of Millbrook, Al Kelly, and myself, we actually signed an agreement with AlDOT, I believe it was in 2013, for AlDOT to put lights at that's exit 181, the Cracker Barrel exit. They were supposed to be putting lights in there. Of course, we, the cities, we're going to have to pay that power bill. I didn't care too much for that, but I know Millbrook signed it, we signed it, and then I think a lot of challenges came up with in the Birmingham area, and that sort of took a lot of the ALDOT dollars and everything else. But, and one other note I'd like to mention is that last year we took our, and I'm not promoting smoking or tobacco use, but we actually took our tobacco taxes that we already get. And with that said, you want to tell us any history on the bridge there at
Cigarette bridge?
Cigarette Bridge? That's where I was going with it.
Are you familiar with the cigarette bridge? Well, when they did in 1942 and 44, during World War II, they widened the creek. It was for flood control. But we had an old iron bridge, and it was an ugly bridge. There was no iron bridge there, and it ran 2/3 of the way. But the Corps of Engineers would not replace that bridge. But they did put in a concrete bridge for the other 30 yards. Okay, so the city said, well, we want to put a bridge for the rest of the way like it is today. What will we do? They said, well, we'll put on a cigarette tax, 2 cents. Now, the bridge contract, I think, was about $30,000 or less. But that cigarette tax was voted on, it's on today.
Yep.
They are not taking it off. They do not. If you vote a tax on, they will never take it off.
Well, I didn't know you were going to throw that last part in there, but what we have done with the tobacco tax, the cigarette tax bridge money, is that we created an infrastructure reserve fund. And of course, as politicians and citizens, we all have projects that we'd like to have completed. And on my list is widening of Fairview Avenue, widening of McQueen Smith Road, and if we ever want to get Highway 82 widened all the way, I'm a firm believer that the way funding has come about federally and statewide, even though Highway 82 is not a city responsibility, if we want it widened, we're going to have something to sweeten the pot. And so some of those tobacco tax dollars have been going to infrastructure fund that, and we've already got in the hopper our Fairview Avenue project, which is going to be some piping of the sides and putting in some turning lanes. And Harold Hammond and I were talking earlier, now because there's federal dollars involved, they're saying now you got to put in sidewalks. So, you know, even though you think you got a good plan and a good sell pitch, then all of a sudden somebody throws a curve at you. But anyway, I knew you knew the history, and I just wanted to bring that. But we are looking at other ways to help sweeten that pot. That infrastructure reserve fund, if I'm not mistaken, it was created 4 years ago, and we got it up to about $400,000, and then we spent some of that money, even though it was dedicated, in my mind's eye, to Fairview and McQueen Smith. A project came up that was needed on Wright Street because we had some flooding going on there, and then there was another project from waters coming off of Highway 31 were flooding some businesses. So we took all that money and took also over here on Main Street. We put a pipe up underneath Main Street. So we took those monies and spent them on those 3 projects. But right now, I think we have about $500,000 in there now. So we're well on the way. We will have the money for Fairview, then hopefully McQueen Smith, and then hopefully Highway 82, unless we get some assistance, you know, from the state on Highway 82. But those are just some of the infrastructure plans that we have. And if you're really concerned about a 2-cent tobacco tax, I then don't need to mention about the $30 million wastewater plant that we have on the ticket working right now. But on the good news, I'm certain everybody here has heard of James Hardie Corporation. They're the siding on the houses and so forth. Well, they're coming to Prattville. They're going to be bringing 200 plus new jobs, and they would not be coming if it hadn't been for 3 things. Previous citizens of Prattville, whether elected or just the partners of Prattville that we all so much need and enjoy and appreciate. But the city bought some industrial park land many years ago, spent about $1 million plus on it, and but we only had
too much.
to be discussed at a later date. But we had 1 or 2 residents come in the park, but when the state would come over, there was just no real substance with businesses looking and everything else. And finally the county and the city got together and said that, and there had been some road and bridge plans And I even had one elected official, not a local, municipal elected official, well, that's a bridge to nowhere, that's the debacle, you know, that the Boondoggle Bridge is also what was called. And James Hardy had been looking in this area for about 4 years. And we had been reached out by another local community and want to know if we would partner with them to help get them to their community, because we would potentially have citizens go work there, and which they never did come back to us. Well, the county and the city got together and decided, okay, we're going to build this bridge. We made an announcement, talked about it and everything else. They came to us, James Hardy came to us, I believe that was in October, November. James Hardy came to us in January, and the governor was making announcements, I believe it was in May. When you're talking about a $200 million project, that does not happen in that short timeline. But if it had not been for the forethought of some of our previous pavilions, the partnership with the county and the city, and then the third factor of that was water. Not only the Buddy Buckner, the Prattville Water Board, but also the fact that our wastewater plant at Autauga Creek was running at half capacity, and they were really, really impressed on Dale Gandy and the Enterprise Fund and just the way that the wastewater department had been running. So it took a lot of people to get there, but finally we're really getting back into the manufacturing, which is what brought Daniel Pratt here in the first place, was manufacturing and everything. So that's my history lesson, and it comes nothing to, I can't even hold a candle to you, but thank you, Mr. Jean. So thank you. Thank you.
And Jen, that's an interesting story about cigarette tax. This group knows how to avoid that tax, don't we?
Yes.
We don't have to pay that tax.
That tax is going to get hopefully less and less and less.
Yes.
But I've not heard that story before. But and all of that, Bill, and not a word about that granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
2.5-year-old granddaughter.
Yes. I'm going to tell you what, and social media and the phones, the cameras we have here, you don't have to worry about film being processed anymore. Yes, and I'll tell you, she is the love of my life, and just so proud. And if anybody here has ever seen any of the pictures, my son, who loves to go out hunting and fishing and golfing and so forth, he thinks he's going to have her out duck hunting and fishing. I said, you need to get ready to have another child on that one. And if I can, one more on the tobacco tax and all that other. The little theme that we're trying to come about was you take black smoke and turn it into black tops. And so, that's how we're trying to get all these monies pulled together, so even us non-tobacco users could enjoy, some of that money. But yeah, again, we're not trying to encourage people to use tobacco products, but anyway.
And I'm not going to tell you, he's the only mayor I know of, and I've known several. It says, if you want to talk to the mayor, here's my cell phone number. I'm assuming you're still taking calls.
Most certainly.
But it works. And every now and then I called, and I'm shocked because this is Bill Gillespie. And I said, well, I was calling your officer, your office, Bill. Well, you got the mayor. What can I do for you? And that's a pleasant thing, and it just shows you how committed he is to the people of this city and the progress this city makes, the reputation that it enjoys among the cities of Alabama. Thanks again.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to run back to my wife because she's got duties for me.
Thank you, Bill.
No, thank you. Talk to you later. Bye. Yes, sir. Oh, you don't need that, do you?
We don't want to hear you down the road. I know. Thank you. Have a good day, sir.
Jan, raise your hand. Jan is a member of the Montgomery chapter, but he's living in Prattville. He says, why don't I drive to Montgomery when I can come to the chapter meeting here? So he joined us tonight. And then Ray and Judy Lageesh, did I get that?
Yes.
Lageesh, they're guests of our chapter tonight. Thank you for coming. Oh, the next meeting, Monday, April the 9th, and Jennifer Sussman, registered physical therapist at the Charlton Place Rehab, will be here to give us some advice how to loosen up our joints. That's all the news I have, and we'll...
Free massages?
I don't know about that. All right, hear a motion, we adjourn. Second, all in favor, stand to your feet, and be sure and greet our guests before you leave.
That is,